Squish. Okay. Do. Hello and welcome to the Knicks-Verse. Oh man, thank you for tuning in, Frederick. Welcome. Hey, Scoo, 6 Trey. Popovich proved that Quickly isn't a point guard. Well, he was rusty. You are so anti-Quickly as the point guard. That's funny. That's funny because, well, you know, he definitely, he's not your typical point guard, that's for sure. Frederick, bench Elf. Oh, wow. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into Elf. We're going to talk in detail about basically what's going to have to happen for the playoffs. Honestly, man, I don't really understand how Thibodeau can justify starting Elfrid. You know, at this point, I'm not even mad at Elfrid anymore. I'm not, because it's not. He doesn't write his name into the starting lineup. It's Thibs. So Elf just goes out and does his, you know, ridiculous Elf stuff, and makes life more difficult for the whole team, the fan base. It makes life difficult for Thibs too. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. I've twisted my brain into a pretzel to try to understand the rationale of continuing with Elfrid. Here comes Mr. JD. JD of JD Sports Talk. All right. Here we go. Oh, wait. Do I assign him? Assign him to guest 1. Here we go. All right. And this is going to be, just give me a second, guys. Here he is. All right. There he is. Welcome, JD. Can you hear me? He's waiting. There's a little delay here. We're using this new software called Ecamm Live. We're hoping that it definitely works out, because we'd love to be able to go live for you guys as often as possible. All right, the Knicks pull out a great win, 102-98. Tremendous comeback. I believe they were down by 17 points at one point. 17 points. Can you believe that shit? You know what? I got to sit up a little higher here. I feel like a midget. Let's go New York, baby. Let's go New York. All right, guys. Whew. Let's see here. Let me get all the comments here. Okay, which brings us back to the previous conversation. Quickly is best used off ball, as he was in college. Can't be mad at Elf. Thibs is a masochist. Yes, that's what I mean. We've come to this realization now that, you know, yes, I'm still pissed off at Elf because he's been given a tremendous opportunity and he keeps squandering it. But at the end of the night, it's Thibs that keeps putting him in there. Honestly, I mean, if it was if Popovich would never keep going with this guy. So I don't get the rationale. I really don't. The status of Mitch. He's healing well. Welcome, Lightning Leg. The status of Mitch is that he's healing well, and I believe he's been doing some light practicing. But they're really being super careful. They're not going to commit to him coming back for the playoffs or anything. But you never know. You never know if something happens to. I don't want to say anything, because right now we're so, you know, it's like I don't want to jinx us in any. In terms of injuries or anything. So, but he is healing. He is healing well. And I mean, my feeling is they're gonna do everything to bring him back. They're gonna do everything to bring him back. All right, let's see here. Where is the interview here? All right. Senor JD, are you on?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I see you. I hear you.
You hear me good?
Yes, I hear you good.
All right.
So,
how you feel about the game?
The game was fantastic. I couldn't be happier.
We were texting back. We were texting back and forth. We got a little dicey there in the third.
It did, man. Of course it did. Man, got off to such a terrible start. 17 points down here. Let's pull up the box score here. Oh God. These third quarters just drive me nuts after a while, man. I just don't understand why we come out so lethargic. You know, there was like no intensity on the defensive end. It really was. I mean, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, I think it's honestly it's a combination of. I mean, specifically tonight, you definitely, even with the huge performance from Alec Burks, we got another glimpse of the value that Derrick Rose is to this team, and not only him as a player individually, but we were able to see how he impacts the players around him and their play and their ability to play with energy, because it seemed like they were all bummed out that he was missing the game, and there was a little bit of a adjustment period, because at the same time of him being out, you had Alec Burks returning, you had Quickly returning, and you saw some of that rust with Quickly and Burks to start the game, and that I think that also led to a little bit of a slow start.
Yeah.
And then Elfrid Payton, which I'm sure we'll get to. I think it's getting to a point now where even his biggest supporter, Tom Thibodeau, may be considering some playoff changes.
You think so? I mean, you really think that's actually a possibility, man?
I really do. I think it's getting, because as I was telling you when we were texting back and forth, previously Payton was playing up and down, but he was playing well enough in some games that justified keeping him in the starting lineup. And not only that, remember early in the season, he was playing a bunch of 20-plus minute games where people were upset that they wanted to see Quickly play more and they wanted to see some of the other players play more.
Yeah.
But now, in the most important part of the season, here, the stretch run, he's giving you absolutely nothing. And I mean, this is not even an exaggeration. I mean, he's giving you absolutely nothing. Even his defense, if you pay attention closely, even his defense has dipped a little bit. And I think that's because his confidence is shot.
Yeah.
So
his defense has dipped a little bit. I mean, he still has that great size, and he knows like where to place himself on the court, but then it feels like he just kind of like he doesn't follow through the entire play defensively.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, it's getting to a point where if you're getting to the playoffs, I mean, if you want to put Quickly in the playoff rotation, somebody has to dip, because I don't think that Thibodeau is going to play so many players. I mean, you saw how he made the adjustment in the second half. Quickly pretty much didn't play. So what do you do in the playoffs now? If you want to give Quickly some playoff experience and you want to shorten the rotation, somebody has to suffer. And in my eyes, what's the point of starting Payton if you're going to pay him 10 minutes? Like, what really is the point? What do you lose? What do you lose by using those 10 minutes, those 12 minutes, and going with Derrick Rose or going with Alec Burks or going with someone else? The thing about it, George, in the playoffs, there's no time to play around. There's no minutes to give up. You can't give up possessions. Like, this is the season, and it's fine. But in the playoffs, we can't play. You can't play games. We're already going to be underdogs with whoever we face, unless we somehow, I guess, get Atlanta. But other than that, we're going to be underdogs. So I think the only argument against it is that you could say it's too late. You've gone this far. There's 2 games left, blah, blah, blah. That's the only argument to keeping him. Other than that, there's literally no basketball argument to continue to play him.
But
there really isn't.
You're right. But there hasn't been one for a very long time. So it really, I the only thing I can think of is, I mean, again, tonight, what's he going to do? Tonight, we didn't have Rose. So, of course, Elf is going to start. And then, Burks got hurt. Remember, he was kind of like bringing Burks along as the point guard, especially for the fourth quarter. And then Quickly was hurt. So, I don't know. I mean, what is it that's going to get him to finally pull the plug? I mean, is it just we just completely collapse in the first quarter? We just give up a 30-point lead in the first quarter? I don't know, man.
I think the only reason why he is starting is because, and for the future of Elfrid Payton is going to be an issue. As I told you privately, I don't see a role for Elfrid Payton in the NBA unless he's in a stacked team or unless he's surrounded by a ton of shooters or a ton of scoring. He is not a fit on this team off the bench. And so that's why Thibodeau doesn't bring him off the bench. He's not a fit. He's not effective. You can hide him with RJ and Randall, and the starting lineup because you can steal minutes.
Yeah.
You can't steal minutes coming off the bench. Who are you going to play him with? He can't play with Derrick Rose. You can't play him with where's his fit?
I get that. And that's kind of been the argument. But it just doesn't make any sense anymore. Seriously, this is it. We have 2 games left, and we have to win those 2 games so we can get that 4th seed. And then we have the actual playoffs. Are we really going to endure Elfrid Payton trying to make a layup, trying to beat a 7-footer, get blocked, or just chuck it up and hope for a lucky bounce? Or actually, he's hoping to get a foul call, which he never does. I don't understand it. I don't understand this anymore. I know we should really be happy as fuck that we won this game, and we are. I know we are. I know you're happy. I'm happy. We were like stressing out when we were like messaging each other, but it reached that moment in the game where I thought, oh wow, are we gonna let this game get away from us? And then RJ Barrett, man, woo! He just started smoking from behind the arc. Unbelievable. Wow, the kid, he actually won this game for us tonight. Yes, I know Burks got the 30 points, and he was really instrumental throughout, but it wasn't until RJ started hitting his 3-pointers that we made the comeback, and then, I mean, at least he got us back in the game. Burks helped us win the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that RJ Barrett was able to have a bounce back game and shoot well from 3, right? And because he had a very tough game. This has been the encouraging side of RJ's game this season has been his ability, to bounce back and not have, tough games get to him mentally. He had one really rough stretch, but other than that, he really hasn't had like these big long slumps that some second-year players, have. And him going 5 for 9 tonight from 3, I think that's a very positive sign for his confidence, being that he just was on national television against the Los Angeles Lakers and a big market team, a big time arena. And he received a lot of criticism because of, how he played and the last shot. And for him to come around in another important game and to play well, I think, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, only had 2 turnovers, had a steal, was a +5, 24 points, played 41 minutes. RJ, he really has a bright future, man.
He's a special kind of creature, man. He, like you just pointed out, he had a really bad game in LA. In my opinion, it might have been one of his worst games in a long time. Like those early ones that he had, like the one he had against Philly, the Sixers and stuff. And your whole life after the game was about RJ. Everybody was coming after him. Yeah. And so this just shows, like you were saying, then he gets off to a bad, kind of a not such a good start tonight, and then he just starts turning it on. He has, what it is he is an alpha. an alpha who is a winner, who is also really young, and he's on the court with another alpha who's playing, all NBA levels games. So, and he actually said it in the post game that he gets these open looks because Julius gets double teamed. So Julius makes RJ's life easier, and then when RJ starts hitting, it's symbiotic. It comes back. He starts making Julius's life easier. If you noticed, Julius started hitting a few of those mid-range buckets, and he hit a couple of those threes after RJ hit his. So it worked the opposite way tonight, where of course Julius was driving, and he found him in the corner, which is that great three in the corner that kind of sparked the whole thing. But that doesn't, right. Then Julius doesn't start getting the open looks if RJ's not hitting those shots, and then Burks hitting those shots. So offensively, we have a nice flow going. Even though we only scored 102 points, but San Antonio is a pretty good defensive team. Even though the Nets just scorched them last night. Well, how much did the Nets score last night on? Like 140 or something?
Yeah, the Nets are they're gearing up. They scored 128.
Yeah, man. Hey, I just want
128 last night.
I want to shout out to the chat. Hello, welcome, Bodega Wi-Fi. Salute, Six Tray. Salute, man. I don't know. You say SCO? I guess that's how you say it. SCO. It's like Lightning Leg. Gideon, good to see you again, brother. Let's see who else is here. I think Frederick was here.
Yeah, everybody. The guys that are here get a special shout out. G Money. I have a lot of respect for him. They call him the walking encyclopedia around the Knicks community. Very passionate fan, and you can see him around on other platforms. So shout out to you, G Money.
Shout out to
Go
you,
Six Tray. He's one of my subscribers and very supportive. So shout out to you. Thank you for stopping by. And Bodega Wi-Fi is another original supporter of a lot of Knick platforms. So seen them around. So salute to you, Bodega Wi-Fi. And everyone else that's watching. Little apologies for the delay on the screen. We're going to get it together for the future. So just thank you for your patience. I guess this could turn into a little mini podcast. You guys can hear us correctly. So just thank you for everyone that's stopping by, man. It's a great time.
I think it's caught up. I think it's caught up. I'm not sure. You guys in the chat, you guys let us know if we're using this new software. You tell us if the software is in sync now. Let's see here. Oh, we got Ilmatix. Welcome back, man. Salute to you, brother. All right. Hey, so what? God. So we face.
So yeah. I was gonna ask you. So Atlanta won. Atlanta.
God, Atlanta.
Because everybody's talking about where we can end up at, and these scenarios is driving me crazy. I'm trying to figure these things out. It looks like, in my opinion, Miami. We have one more shot with Miami because I think they play Milwaukee next.
Yeah, but Miami's going to play Milwaukee, and I don't see them.
They should be.
Yeah.
So that's the game. Milwaukee's the game.
Milwaukee is the game.
We have to win out, but Milwaukee's the game.
Yeah. The thing is, if that's the problem, here's the problem. Because I made a mistake in the video that I dropped about the tiebreaker situation. Because actually, what happened was I was listening to someone that I respect, and I'm not going to put it out there, but they said what I ended up repeating, and I should not have done that. I should have triple checked it, and I did afterwards, and I was like, damn it. So the situation is, if Miami wins out, if they beat the Bucks tomorrow and they win on Sunday, and then we win out. If all three teams win their last games, it finishes in a three-way tie. In that three-way tie, the Hawks get the 4th seed because they win the division. But if Miami loses to the Bucks and the Knicks and Atlanta finish in a tie, the Knicks get the tiebreaker because it's head-to-head is what's the tiebreaker. So then we'd end up with the 4th seed. So if Miami loses, if Miami loses both games, and the Knicks, if we win one of the next two, and the Hawks win theirs, we finish 5th. That's how it is.
All right.
Does that make sense?
If everyone was able to get that. And it's funny too. It's only it's only like 2 games left. So
I know.
It's not,
really, we're here at the end of the season, man. It's crazy.
I mean, listen. It's looking like we. Wait, is there any chance that we don't play the Bucks and we end up playing the Nets or something else, somebody else?
I think there's a slight no. I think there might be a slight chance. I gotta check. There might be a slight chance that the Bucks, you mean, jump over the Nets and go into second.
Yeah, because I heard somewhere that there's actually a scenario where the Nets can or the Sixers can drop to 3rd, and we may end up. The Nets could drop to 3rd, and we may end up playing the Nets in the first round, which would be interesting.
Well, it's true because right now Milwaukee's only 1 game back of the Nets. So the Nets have 2 games. Milwaukee has 2 games. So yeah,
I don't want to play the Nets first round. Nope, don't want to. I mean, listen, I'm open to anyone. Competition is competition.
Yeah,
got to play them all at some point, but at the same time, we got to be smart, and the Nets to me are not a favorable matchup for the Knicks. They're just not, because now they're having their top players, and the playoffs turns a lot into a one-on-one game, and they have 3 isolation players. We don't really have one, in terms of someone that we can just isolate and say, give me that bucket in the 4th quarter. Randall is developing into that. But when you're talking about Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant, and you said if James Harden's healthy, they're gonna be something. They're gonna be tough.
Yeah, if Harden's healthy, I don't see them losing. So that's just the reality of that. But the thing is, if he's healthy, I mean, he played great last night. In just like 23 minutes, I think he played or whatever. So. But you know what? I'll tell you. Here's one scenario. In a 7-game series, so it's 4 games that they have to play. 4 games. That's a lot of like head-to-head battling, and our defense isn't gonna really change. Our defense is what it is, and it's the top 3 defense in the game right now. And some statistics, we're number 1. So the one thing is they do hurt us because they have length, and their tall guys can shoot that 3. So that's one of the things that we're going to have to, like I said this before, I think we may have to change up our defensive scheme a little bit, where we allow 3-point shooters to kind of get somewhat open looks, and we try to close out hard on them. But in this case, I think we have to really get up onto the 3-point line and actually let these guys drive into the paint. Because if we just keep letting them rain 3s over us, it's going to be blowout after blowout every night if they're hitting. So we got to get them out of their rhythm. And you get them out of their rhythm by getting them to shoot bad shots or contested shots. And even they have 3 tremendous shooters, so at some point, one of those 3, even if they've been pushed out of their rhythm, they're going to eventually catch up and start hitting, So, yes, shout out to the Philippines. Francis Abogado, welcome, brother. Welcome, man. Great win, man. We got to just take a moment and just totally take a deep breath, man. This is just fantastic. I mean, no one thought we were going to be here right now, especially Vegas.
Yeah, that it's just crazy. Like, I'm looking at the record right now, and I'm just thinking and reflecting. We're about to have an opportunity to win 40 games, and this is in a 72-game season. We're going to win 40 games. So, in other words, if this would have been an 82-game season, who knows how many wins we could, we would have gotten this season. Oh. It goes to show you how how much of a success this season has been for the New York Knicks.
It's phenomenal, which is also why shout out to For the Love of the Game podcast. Thibs is the coach of the year and defensive guru. Let him do his job. Y'all will be fine. And yes, absolutely, that is the mentality that we should all have. But it's so hard to feel that way when we have to watch Elfrid Payton do what he does. But you know what? At least the big difference now is remember in the beginning of the season, he'd force him back into the lineup. We'd see him in the fourth quarter and we'd be like, So we haven't really seen Elfrid in the fourth quarter in a very long time. Actually, there was one game recently because of injuries or something, or I think it was because of foul trouble. So at least that's happening. At least there's been an evolution in that respect, where once he leaves the game in whatever after the 6-minute mark in the third quarter, we never see Elfrid Payton again. Not even in shots on the bench.
And listen, to Thibs, and Sco 6 Trey in the comments for the Love of the Game podcast. Shout out to their whole platform. I'm not sure if that's Z, if that's Zach, my boy Zach, or Latrell Sprewell. Shout out to all of you guys. Thank you for stopping by. Now with Thibs, I mentioned that for those that want to be extremely optimistic about the Knicks' chances in the playoffs to make any noise, I think one of those perspectives is Thibodeau. Thibodeau is one of the biggest assets to be optimistic because, the playoffs is his time to shine. And when you talk about game planning versus one team for a 7-game series, I mean, you see how Thibodeau, designs game plans for regular season games, having to travel from one night to the next and executing a defensive game plan. What's it going to be when we're talking about a guy that is a hard worker, a film junkie, and now has the game plan for you for a 7-game series? The Knicks may be able to get 1 or 2 wins in a series just on Thibodeau's hard work and schemes. If we recall, when the Raptors play the Bucks, the Raptors made a big adjustment in Game 3 when they decided to put Kawhi on Giannis and they decided to pack the paint and do some adjustments. That changed that series, which led to Milwaukee losing that series. Those are the type of things and adjustments that are needed in the playoffs. Those are the type of defensive game plans that I need in the playoffs. So having Thibs is going to prove to be an asset for the Knicks in the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, there's some people argue that one of the reasons that Doc Rivers never won in LA with the Clippers is because he didn't have Thibodeau as his defensive guru, which he had with the Celtics. Of course, he didn't have. Well, that's not true. CP3, tremendous defender. Blake is an excellent defender. DeAndre Jordan was a tremendous defender. So, they had the tools there, the defensive weapons, but they couldn't put it together because they didn't have Tom Thibodeau. And now we got him, and you're absolutely right. Here's another thing about in the playoffs, and we've seen this. We've all seen this. A weird penalty, and then a tech, and then there's a fight, or somebody tweaks an ankle. And I don't want to wish any of this on anybody, but playoffs are playoffs. There's 7-game series, and if for some reason KD catches a cold, and then Harden gets hit hard and he hits his head on the floor, he gets a mild concussion. You never know. I mean, this thing could turn. So, and then all we need is 4 wins. So we steal a couple of wins, and then we hope the Nets give some wins, give some games away, and then you never know, man. We could pull off a tremendous upset. I've been getting 1999 vibes.
I mean, listen, man. And I is the ultimate time of matchups. It's a game of matchups, and so let's see, what he does now. The thing with Thibs is, on one end, he's great because of his defense, his game plan, and on the other end, I just want him to make. I don't want him to be afraid to make adjustments in terms of rotational adjustments or lineup changes. If you notice, that's where it happens. Eric Spoelstra is known for that. Frank Vogel did a lot of that last season in terms of when a certain player did not play well for a game or two, he was out of there. These coaches make adjustments game to game. Now, what I mean with my Thibs point is that he's consistent with his defensive game planning, and so the Knicks will have a chance. He'll give him a chance on defense, but in terms on the offensive side of the ball and from a game to game, I don't want him to be afraid to make adjustments with benching a player or putting a player in a rotation, trying something new. We haven't really seen a lot of that this season, but in the playoffs is the time to, make those changes, because championship teams, if you look at it, that's what they do. So that's my only slight concern with Thibodeau is I want to see him be a little bit more flexible from game to game, because it's going to happen. One of these guys that's playing well now, the players are going to start. The wrists are going to get tight. They're going to get a little nervous. You know how it goes. And somebody's not going to come through. So you got to give a chance to someone else to potentially be the unsung hero.
Yeah. And one thing I like about our roster is we have guys that kind of have that makeup, that mentality. Burks he's kind of an assassin, man. I mean, this is basically his first game back, and he started off a little bit rusty, and then goes off for 30 points. And then Reggie, he's a seasoned veteran. I don't see him getting thrown off his game and frazzled. Julius, maybe, because he has so much responsibility on his shoulders. So, and I really wish he needs to cut down on those turnovers, man. They're starting to drive me nuts again. How do you feel about that?
Who's this?
Julius. The turnovers.
Oh. I mean, I don't think the amount is a concern that much, because I'm just used to seeing stars turn it over, 4 or 5 times because of the usage rate, how much they have the ball. I just think specifically with Randle sometimes is the timing of some of his turnovers that could be frustrating, and the type of turnovers that he has. You know what I mean? The turnovers, there's all different kind of turnovers. There's unforced, there's forced, there's dumb turnovers, there's silly turnovers, And I think Randle sometimes has these just silly turnovers where, he could have made an adjustment quicker to avoid that turnover. So when you see it happen, it frustrates you. So other than that, I mean, it is what it is. It happens with all stars. I just hope, I'm not going to get too crazy on Randle, only because he's improved so much in all areas that you're still going to see a weakness or two, because we're talking about a transformation in one off season. So I'm hoping that maybe next off season he continues to evolve like RJ and some other young players. And then, maybe he can improve that part of his game.
Yeah. I mean, he has over last year. He definitely has. His turnovers aren't. Last year, the thing is, he would make those ridiculous turnovers, but he also didn't have the positive side of it, where he would spray the ball. Now, sometimes he kind of forces the issue a little bit, but most of the time he is spraying the ball. He is finding the open guy, or he's kind of, what he's doing is he's waiting for the second defender to rotate over to him. So then either he can spin and beat both of them, or he finds the open guy. And that's the best part. That's why we're winning. That's why we have 39 wins, really, because of that. And then when he shoots it, he's been hitting at a pretty tremendous clip from the 3-point line, man. That's when he hits that 3-pointer at the top of the arc there. I always feel like that's it. We're gonna win this game. Like in the beginning, in the first quarter, when he hits those, I feel like, oh yeah, this is it. We got this game. And he did it tonight.
And here's my hope. My hope with Randle, as well as with others, like RJ Barrett's ability to get to the paint easier, right? My hope with that is that as the roster improves, or you would hope it's going to improve in the offseason, and we create a little bit more spacing for Randle and for RJ, that some of those deficiencies that are showing up now will improve. because again, Randall has a ton of responsibility right now. So not only does he have a lot of responsibility, he has a lot of weight in terms of, the offense and everything that he has to carry for the team right now as the number one option. It's also he has mental responsibility because he has to process everything that's going on. This is the first time in his career that you're talking about an MVP consideration. First time in his career that you're talking about all NBA consideration. There's a lot going on with him on the court and mentally. So I think, it's been a crazy him. And I just hope that as the roster improves next season, hopefully some of that will decrease.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's got to. It definitely has to improve. There's no doubt. One thing that I think is happening with RJ, because he kind of had he's had a downturn the past 6 games, and I looked up his minutes. His minutes before the 8 games before the 6 games that he had his statistical downturn, he was playing a shitload of minutes. I think he was averaging 39 minutes a game. And so in a way, I think, because we were missing Burks and, we were missing Quickly, he had to play more. And that's why he's not being as efficient as he gets to the basket lately. Have you noticed that his shots are all in the front rim? He's kind of like chucking it. He's not fully completing it. And I just think he just doesn't have enough in the tank right now. But somehow it's not affecting his 3-point shot, which is fantastic. He's actually even gotten better from behind the arc.
Who's this player? Because
RJ.
I have a little trouble.
It was RJ.
RJ? Yeah.
He's been putting his minutes. Yeah. I think his minutes were catching up to him. The 8 previous games to the most recent 6 games, he was averaging 39 minutes a game, and I think that was it had finally caught up to him. I think he was getting a little tired again. We've seen this before throughout the season because I think he's still in the top 5 in the whole league for minutes. I know Julius is number 1.
You definitely saw some of that fatigue against the Lakers. If you saw the type of misses he had on that game, he had a lot of side of the rim, short shots. He was a step slow on defense. He was slow-footed. I think you saw a little bit of that fatigue, but you see a lot of this also with young players. It goes through these ebbs and flows throughout the season. And listen, when you're playing for Thibs too, you're gonna feel it. And so, I think now here down the stretch, a lot of these players are going to now go into that adrenaline mode, and whoever's tired, you're only going to feel it after the game when you go to the hotel, because at this point it's playoff time, and I'm going to be interested to see how they respond, because they have the next 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. Aren't they matinee games, like 1:00 games or something like that?
Yes, they're both 1:00 starts. They determined it today, and I think on Sunday, every game is within a 2 hours, begins within a 1 or 2 hour window, kind of like they do in
can't wait.
soccer.
Let's go.
Yes. Oh man.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. And it's gonna happen fast. Tomorrow's Friday, and then boom, Saturday, Sunday, early games. So we're gonna know our fate here very, very soon and very, very quickly. And I can't wait to find out, what's gonna happen, who we're gonna play, and how the team finishes the season. There's still 2 important games that have to be played here, and the Knicks have to win both of them.
Yeah. I mean, the Hawks have a pretty easy game.
What's your confidence level that we can? Oh, and we're gonna get Lightning Leg has a question there on Lonzo. We'll get to that in a second, I guess. What's your confidence level on these 2? I want to ask you that. What's your confidence level on these 2 games? And then I want to go back and ask you a question about Alec Burks, since he had a big game. I think we should definitely give our little thoughts, on him and how you feel, what are our chances of potentially keeping him? I published a video today discussing some of these players that are going to be important for us down the stretch. But they're also, unfortunately, free agents. So we're going to have some tough decisions to make. So, but what's your confidence level here in the last 2 games of the season that we'll be able to close this thing out?
My confidence level is, it's at 8.5 out of 10. Tonight was the game that I was most worried about because the Spurs, they took care of us last time pretty handily, and they're pretty good. Other than DeRozan, they're a pretty good 3-point shooting team, and Popovich, the pop factor. So I was really worried that we were coming back from this long road trip, and basically they only had one day in between. So I was worried that this might be the game that we just don't have enough in the tank to take care of business. So this was a humongous win, and especially the way we did it, coming with a 17-point comeback. That shows to me that this team is so resilient that it's gonna take a really superior team to beat us down now moving forward. And Charlotte is not a superior team. And the Celtics, the way they've been playing lately, and without Jaylen Brown, they're not a superior team. So I think we got these 2 games, and we're going to end up with the 4th seed. So it won't really matter that the Hawks have been playing great, and basically, I mean, they've done everything they can to get that 4th seed. So I think we're going to get the 4th seed, and that's going to be a tremendous playoff series. I think it might be one of the best ones, honestly.
Hawks and Knicks.
Yeah, in the first round,
it's definitely going to be fun. That's for sure. Like literally, the word "fun" is going to be shown on that series, just because, the Trae Young star factor there. The Hawks are a talented young team. A lot of people like their roster. A lot of people like their talent. They have some shooting. They have physicality with Collins and Capella, who I believe is the top offensive rebounder in the NBA, one of the best shot blockers in the NBA. And then, you're going to have, Trae Young, who's going to be an irritant on the eyes of many Knicks fans because of, his tendency to get these weird foul calls. I know a lot of people like to compare quickly to that, but I don't think it's as exaggerated as Trae Young. So no. That would be another dynamic that would be interesting to see. And yeah, I believe it would be a great series. This series, that potential series could go 7, in my opinion, because I know that everybody wants the Hawks, and I believe it's because they're, I guess lack of experience, and nobody on that roster, although they're talented, really scares you in terms of the playoff factor. You play the Bucks, you got to deal with Middleton, you got to deal with Giannis. You play the Nets, you got to deal with the big 3. You play the Sixers, who's going to stop Embiid on our team, Yeah. So, but when you play with the Hawks, a lot of the issues, the challenges there, they're manageable,
Yes. Playoff experience is a big deal. It really is. But the thing is, both the Knicks and Hawks don't have playoff experience. The thing is, we do have D Rose. We have D Rose, who does have playoff experience, and we have Thibs, who has playoff experience, obviously. And we have Taj. I don't think Nerlens has ever played. I don't think anybody else in the lineup has ever played in the playoffs, right? Or wait, has Burks had any playoff experience? I'm not sure about that.
Oh, against this was it the Sixers last year, right?
Was it the Sixers? I keep thinking. I know he was with the Warriors too for a while. Not sure, but anyway, it's not significant playoff experience. So, right, but I think
it wouldn't be significant.
But I think the Hawks have even less.
Yeah, he's been in the playoffs though with Utah 2 seasons, and 2011, 2012, and last year with the Sixers, played 4 games.
Yeah. So we have, the Hawks and Knicks are kind of similar, and they're surprising. They're a surprise team. In terms of the lack of playoff experience, they're similar. Nate McMillan is an excellent coach, though he could never get his teams over the hump, in the playoffs. Even though I do like him a lot.
Noel, well, look, I just looked it up.
Sam says Noel.
Alec
I think
Burks.
He was in the playoffs with the Thunder last year. Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah. Noel was definitely Noel. Yes. Of course, he was with with Chris Paul. But Burks, Played 4 games, averaged 20, just about 24 minutes per game. Shot 18% from 3, 30 near 33% from the field goal. This is on 12 attempts.
Jeez.
So this is not like deceiving stats. This is he averaged almost 11 points. So, but he was not efficient. So this is what I mean about, players playing well in the season. You get to the playoffs, and somebody that's playing well right now is things flip flop. So, that's why we need everybody. We need everybody healthy, and that's why Derrick Rose is going to be the most important piece to any playoff success that we have, because Rose is a guy with experience. Rose has played better this season on the road. He's shooting much better, 7 to 9 points higher from the 3-point range on the road than at home. Shooting better just all around on the road. Then in the playoffs, we're going to need to win road games. So we need to get Rose healthy. It's unfortunate that this happened, and some people blame Thibs.
No. Actually, what I heard was that he could have actually gone tonight, but because we have the 2 back-to-backs on Saturday and Sunday, that they just figured, we're going to get Burks back, IQ back, and Reggie will be able to play. That they just thought, what, I think we can afford to just give Rose rest that ankle a little bit. So it's not that bad an injury. He was actually out there on the court and he in the pregame shoot around and stuff. So it's not a worrisome injury at all. It's what I heard.
Yeah, I saw that report as well, that he supposedly could have actually been, I guess if this was a playoff game, he would have played. It's what I've read. And that Thibodeau decided to just give him a day rest.
Yeah.
So supposedly, they're terming this as a day rest is what they're saying.
Right.
So what does that mean, that he plays Saturday? We'll see. Or does he not play Saturday? And I'm not even playing. I don't know. We got to win these last 2 games too. So
here's the thing is, though, you don't want to rest him too much, because you want to keep that synergy going that he had developed with the team. I mean, he was playing incredible recently. So I think if anything, he might. I mean, maybe he won't play Saturday, but he'll play Sunday. That's what I'm thinking. He'll play against if let's say, I think we can win. We can beat the Hornets without Rose. So then let's keep him, let's hold him, and then play him on Sunday. So at least he gets some real court action before the week off for the playoffs. That's my feeling about that. Hey, what do you? So JD, what do you think? Do you think the Knicks can beat the Hawks?
I think they can. I don't think it's as easy as people are like. I don't know if people are saying I want to play the Hawks because they're so confident. I don't know if they're saying that because that's just the matchup they rather have than what could be available. Or I don't know if they're saying that because in addition to that being the matchup they want, they also think that we could just run over the Hawks. I think we could beat them. I would have us beating them, of course. I'll convince myself that we'll find a way to beat them. But I think it would be if the Knicks are home, can this Knicks team close this thing out in 6? That would be impressive, man. If we can beat the Hawks in 6, close this thing out, that would mean that we would have, if we get home court, which we would if we both end up with the same record, because I read that we have the tiebreaker. If we win in 6, that means that we would have closed the game out in Atlanta. That would be impressive, man. You talk about getting momentum to go into the second round, being able to close out a series on the road after, the season that we've had and some of the doubts that we're going to have going into it. I tell you what, we'll be the 4th seed, have home court, and I guarantee you, mainstream media, Vegas, and everyone will still have us as an underdog.
Yeah.
So I think we can beat them. Because just there's really nobody there that can scare me. Yes, Trae Young is gonna win them a game or two in a series, in a 7-game series. Trae Young he's just gonna get hot, right? But he's also gonna lose them a game or two, because that type of player, right, will win you some games, but he can also shoot you out of others.
Yeah.
And so, I think we would beat them. I think, RJ has had a great career so far against the Hawks. He's played very well against them, and so has Randall. So you got your two best players to the playoffs. What about you? How many games would you have that?
I think you know what? I think we're looking at a 7-game series. I think we're going to game 7. If we get the home, if we end up with the 4th seed and we get those first 2 games at home, I could see us splitting those, and then splitting the 2 in Atlanta, and then coming back. Or is it 2-3-2 or is it 2-2-1-1-1?
It'll be 2-2-1-1-1.
Yeah, so that's why I think it'll be it could be a 7-game series, which that's good. More basketball for us. But I do think we can win.
Here's the other thing too.
Stanley Mann, shout out to Stanley. The Hawks are playing terrific basketball, but they don't play defense. Trae Young, Bogdanovich, and Collins have been playing terrific offense. That's true. They are offensively, and they have Gallo, and they have Lou Will. I mean, they got some weapons.
Shout out to Stanley. I know he's I see him a lot in the comment section on your videos. I know he's a very supportive subscriber of yours. So
yes.
Shout out to Stanley. Thanks for stopping by.
And shout out to John Christopher. Thanks for joining us, man. He said Payton playing versus D Rose not playing. Yeah, Payton 0 points. Rose 0 points. Yeah, Jesus. I don't. Payton,
0 points minus 11. Rose,
minus 11.
0 points plus.
Oh man. God.
Well, I think also the underrated thing about the a Hawks series would be, playing Atlanta. A lot of fans have been saying that they feel the road games are not going to be road games because so many Knicks fans are in Atlanta.
A lot of Knicks fans there. Yeah.
Historically, if you've seen a lot of the games there, 40% of the arena that has shown up historically to Atlanta games have been Knicks fans.
Yeah.
So that's also another thing where, a lot of people talk about the playoffs being hostile environments. I know the fan amount is not the same as it would be, but still, whatever you got, it would be funny if it's all Knicks fans too. So I don't think the Knicks will feel a lot of pressure playing in Atlanta as they would playing in Milwaukee or in Philly, for example, or even in Miami.
Absolutely. The thing is too, basically it's either we play the Hawks, the Heat, or the Bucks. And of those 3 in the first round, even though Atlanta has been playing well, Atlanta's the one that we want to play. Right? But at the same time, I'm like, fuck it. We'll play anybody. We'll battle. You know what? If we have to play the Bucks in the first round and we give them a great fucking look, we've beaten the Bucks. Didn't we beat the Bucks twice this year? Yeah.
I can't focus. Look at Daniel Diaz's comment.
What did he say? Daniel Diaz. Payton is in the Chinese league coming soon. LOL. Yeah. In a way, I think Thibs is killing Payton's career by starting him and exposing him the way he is. What team is going to want him on their squad the way he plays?
I told you, I think he's gonna have trouble sticking in the NBA because here's the thing with Payton. With Payton's game, not with him, with a player in this modern day NBA, with the game that he's been able to showcase to the world, is that he can't shoot, and he can't shoot from anywhere on the court. He can't shoot the mid range. He can't shoot from the key. He can't shoot from the 3-point range. He can't shoot free throws. Like the shooting is not at all in his game. Can't even shoot layups.
Can't even
And
do
so,
layups. Oh,
you know, when you're talking about, you know, constructing an NBA roster, and especially when you look at playoff contenders, right? Look at Utah, Jordan Clarkson, right? Like, look at some of these, you know, top teams. They have, you know, scorers coming off the bench. When you construct a roster, what you want off the bench at that position is spark plugs. You know, Emmanuel Quickly's, Alec Burks. That's what you want off the bench. You don't want to go to your bench and actually take a step back in the scoring department. Not in today's modern NBA. So how is Elfrid Payton? When I hear, oh, Elfrid Payton will be a good backup in the NBA, where? Unless you're putting him on the Clippers or you're putting him on a contender that can hide him. But other than that, where can he stick in this league if he can't shoot? He's barely starting for the New York Knicks, who this is the biggest weakness of the team. And he's only starting because it's Thibodeau's coaching and because of this idea of his size and defense and all this stuff. But if you can't even grab the starting position on the New York Knicks, what makes you think you're going to do it somewhere else? Where? So I just think his game is not a fit for today's NBA. And he, remember also, there was no interest last offseason. We re-signed him.
Yeah.
He was
like a last minute re-sign, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually, we got destroyed in the first game by the Bucks, but we did win the second one, 102-96. But I don't think Giannis played in that one.
You got a Sixers fan in the building.
Yes. Welcome, Sixers fan. Hey,
Philly
you know
Sports,
what? I actually I have a lot of respect for that Sixers team. I think you know, they're poised to do some damage in the playoffs. Though I think that would be I hope the Knicks get past the first round and they meet the Sixers in the second round, because I think that'll be an awesome series. And I think I think the Sixers playing against the Knicks in the second round, and if they beat them, which most likely, you know, they're favored to do, it would toughen them up to go play the Nets. You know what I mean? Like they need a good competitive series to go up against, you know, to prepare them to go up against the Nets, because I don't want to see the Nets win. I know that they will. If all three are healthy, they probably will. But come on, man. I can't handle the idea of the Nets fucking winning.
Shout out to the 51. You know, I see 51 here. Hit them likes for my boy George and Knicks into the Knicks-Verse.
Yes,
you guys can. You know, hit them likes, support the stream.
Much appreciated.
Thank you for stopping by. Absolutely. Having a blast here, George. So thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for joining me here. Sorry that, you know, still, I'm sure the stream is a little stuttering and stuff, but the audio is good. And that's really the most important thing when it comes to this stuff. Because really, this is basically a glorified podcast. Because we're not doing any highlights and all that jazz. If you want that stuff, you can, you know, watch it somewhere else. We're here to talk about, the mental aspect of the game, the matchups, give our take on what we think could happen. And I actually think that there's a possibility that the Knicks are going to surprise some people in the playoffs. They're going to. That's my feeling, because I think Derrick Rose is going to kick into that playoff mode. And at that point, you just got to let the man cut him loose. And then with Randall, and Randall is fully committed to take this team as far as it can possibly go. And then RJ, the guy has like nerves of steel. You know, and if he keeps shooting the three the way he's been shooting it, and then Reggie Bullock, and then Burks, you know, and then we got the two guys in the middle there just swatting flies left and right. Taj doesn't block as many as Nerlens does. And then we have, the X Factor. The X Factor is Emmanuel Quickly, man. When he shakes off the rust and he finally gets back into game shape, he's going to be launching those logo threes. And that's gonna. I mean, look, when he hits 2 or 3 of those, the defense is just suddenly like terrified, and then they have to overcompensate with him and try to cover him way deep beyond the 3-point line, and that opens up spaces for other players if he can look for them, which he has been lately. And I really think that's actually, especially with Obi. I've noticed that he's been looking for Obi lately, and Obi's another player who it's TBD. I know some people don't think he's going to get a lot of time in the playoffs, but I actually disagree, because there really isn't another. Who's the other power forward? Especially when we go up against these big teams. Like the Sixers or the Nets. We're not going to be able to get away with it like we did tonight. Tonight, he only played 3 minutes.
Tonight, we played against E-Banks.
Yeah. Who is annoying as fuck, that guy. He kills us. Yeah. He hurt us the last game, remember?
Yeah, he doesn't even look like... It's just...
He looks like a bartender that they just said, "Hey, yo, we need a guy. Put a jersey on. Sit on the bench." And then they just threw him in there.
Yeah. I guess when you term NBA player look, he doesn't necessarily look like that NBA player, and Pop got on him a little bit, and then he responded. So, but listen, we'll see what happens here. What do you think? What do you think about Burks and Bullock? You think we'll be able to re-sign both of them?
Yes.
Or you think one of those?
I think we can re-sign everybody, and we have the money. And I think that So you think we'll re-sign Rose, Burks, and Bullock, and then So then if we're gonna do all that, then I mean, do we go after Lonzo, or do we go via trade? Well, now you're going for the big talk.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, you're saying we're going to re-sign everyone.
I'm just saying we can.
There has to be.
I'm saying we can. If we don't re-sign,
and are you including Noel in that equation as well?
Yes, I am including Noel as well, because we got it. We caught a couple of lucky breaks, and it sucks because Mitch got hurt. So Mitch's negotiating leverage is gone, and he's going to want a deal. So I think he's going to give us a discount, maybe like 3 for 24. Like we get him for $8 million a year, Mitch, which is a steal for that kind of player. And then Nerlens, we could probably bring him back because he seems like a guy who he talks about the team chemistry a lot in the few interviews. I've seen him in 2 or 3 interviews, and each one of them, that's all he talks about is the brotherhood, the team chemistry. And if the Knicks win, let's say we win a playoff series, we win the first round, all those positive vibes. He's probably he could probably sign him for like a 1 year, maybe 12 for 1 year. And then you know what? We can trade him in the middle of the season if we need to. So I think we can bring him back, and it'd be good insurance because Mitch is not that injury prone as much as he gets the bad rap for it. He just has had some injuries, but it's just his style of play, which he just puts it all out on the court, and he just flings his body around, man. He's just unbelievable like that. But I think we have the ability to do it. Whether we will or not depends on what else becomes available. That's really the bottom line. I don't think anyone's going to come. The one guy that might get stolen from us, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The one guy that might get stolen from us is Reggie Bullock. Because he has just become the perfection of the 3-and-D player. And he can cover multiple positions. And man, his release has sped up. Lately, boom, boom, and actually his shot has gotten flatter. I don't know if you've noticed that, and I think that's part of the quick release because when it's hard to quick. I mean, Curry and Trae Young are complete, bizarre people. They're just completely different than other people. They do the quick release, but they do the high arc. Most quick release guys, it's a little flatter. And Reggie's had a little more arc to it, but he's flattened it out so he can get it off quicker. And he's hitting at a tremendous rate. So I could see a team like I could see in Miami. I could see Miami trying to go after him. I could see Atlanta actually trying to go after him. You know what I mean? So we might have competition for him. What do you think? Oh, and then Lonzo Ball. Sorry, we didn't get into Lonzo Ball. You take the Lonzo Ball part.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I 100% agree about Bullock being, he's evolved into that prototypical 3-and-D player that everybody talks about in today's modern NBA. That 3-and-D term. That's what he's become, and a very good one at that. And it's crazy too because he didn't start so well in the season, and then here, his last 13 games, he's averaging near 15 points per game, 44% from three. So you're talking about elite, percentage numbers as a 3-point shooter.
Elite.
And then he's ranked as one of the high pick and roll defenders. Mm-hmm. When we're talking about pick and roll defenders at his position, he's one of the top ranked defensive players for the pick and roll. And it's why Thibs values him so much, is his ability to play the pick and roll and get in the passing lanes. And I think that, I don't know, I think Burks or Bullock, one of them may have to go. Unfortunately, I think they may have to go. I hope not. But I just don't know how the finances will work with keeping everyone, because somewhere someone's going to get overpaid. And if you look at the way Leon Rose has been managing business so far, he's been very fiscally responsible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I don't know how that will translate with these free agents. Now, is in regards to, Stanley Mann's comment with Kyle Lowry for 2 years, he says, I mentioned in my video on, Kyle Lowry that the thing with Kyle Lowry is everyone's saying 2 years, but I don't think Kyle Lowry is aiming for that. He is 35 years old, so this is his last contract. It's kind of the Chris Paul type of thing. Kyle Lowry's going to go into free agent asking for 4-year contracts. And in the end, he's probably going to sign for 3, right? It's kind of the Gordon Hayward situation where a lot of people didn't think Gordon Hayward would get the contract he got. And all Knicks fans were saying, yeah, I'll take Gordon Hayward for 2 years. And
he would have
been, signed for.
He would have been great on this team, man, for 2 years or 3 years, even.
You know what I mean?
Like a decent 3 years, three for 70 or something. That would have been awesome. But
and when you look at Kyle Lowry is shooting better this year than last year from 2. He's shooting better than this year than last year from 3. He is averaging 7 assists a game and 5 rebounds. So he's having a great season statistically. And that's why I don't think that'll equate to a 2-year contract. Whoever wants to sign him will have to go minimum 3 years, in my opinion. 3 years with player options, something like that. I don't think he's going to sign for 2. So what do you do if you're the Knicks? Do you go 3 years on Lowry? Do you go 4 years on Lowry? I don't know. Now with Lonzo,
I would not. I'll tell you.
Argument.
Sorry to jump on the Lowry thing, because the Lowry.
Yeah, give me your thoughts on Lowry.
Here's my thing on Lowry, because I really haven't come out and said anything much about him. Lowry, I know that the first couple of seasons he didn't. I think actually you made this point. There weren't many miles, on that engine in those first 3 or 4 years. He didn't really play that much. So even though he is older, what is he, 34? 35? Lowry? Yeah.
35.
So he's going to be 36 next year. You know what? We're talking about a whole year from, because when we're going to really need him, because we're proving now with the team we have, we can get to the playoffs. That's what we've proved. So what do we need a point guard for? To get us to a top seed and then get us deep into the playoffs, to get us to the championship. That's a lot of games, man. I just don't think I want that guy. I think he could break down. and or guys, most players are not like CP3, or even Melo. Melo had to step away from the game, shed some weight, reinvent himself. Lowry is going to jump right in. I don't know. I'm not excited about bringing Lowry in. I know some people are, and it's my concerns about, can he maintain that level of play that he's doing now? I mean, I know he's been pulling it off now, but where's Toronto? Where's Toronto? They're nowhere. Yeah. And you're right. He's playing really well. They have Siakam. I mean, Toronto, when you look at their roster, they've got a team. How come they didn't pull it together? So that's my concern about him. But also it's the money. If we could get him for 1 year, like a 1 year 38 million or something, a balloon payment 1 year, maybe. But I would rather do this. This is what I would rather do. I know a lot of people are not. Some people are. I think Stanley was anti Lonzo. Here's my feeling about Lonzo. I'll give you my take on Lonzo. The reason that I want Lonzo is because when you look around the NBA, there are very few 23-year-old point guards and under that are good, that are available.
Right.
De'Aaron Fox is fantastic, but he's not available. SGA, fantastic, but he might become available, maybe, but he's going to cost us a lot in terms of assets to acquire him. With Lonzo, it's just going to cost us money. And then now we have a dynamic, young, 23-year-old asset, and we can sign him. I don't know what we're going to get him for. Anywhere from 18 to 22 million a year. And if it comes down to it, where at some point in the season, let's say February or in January, a disgruntled star suddenly starts making noise and they say, hey, you know what? I want to go to the Knicks. A disgruntled star like a Dame Lillard. Well, now we have Lonzo with a good contract that we can include in that trade, because we really don't have salaries that we can move. At some point, I mean, I know during this season we had cap space, so we didn't actually have to give back equal salaries. But next year we probably will not be in the same financial situation. So who are we going to move? We're not going to trade Randall. We're not going to trade RJ. Who else is going to be up there in the high teens million, or even in the low 20 millions that we can trade that another team will even want? So we'll be acquiring an asset, an asset that we can trade or move. And guess what? What if he actually continues his development and then Thibs gets a hold of him and he gets this big, I mean, Lonzo's big and Lonzo's got some speed. He's not like a burner. He's not a burner guy, but he's got good speed. And Thibs starts working with him and Johnny Bryant. And they turn him into a fucking dynamic defender. He's already a good defender. They turn him into a dynamic defender. And his three-point shot stays where it is. And he's got great court vision. He might turn into something really good, something really, really good, without having to give up that many assets. That's my feeling on that.
The argument for Lonzo, the biggest
Lillard.
argument that you see for him is the age factor in the sense that he would be, in the same timeline trajectory with your other young nucleus, with Quickly, Randall, and RJ. You can sprinkle Lonzo in and just let them all develop, right? And also his size and length, that's what Thibodeau likes. When you talk about Elfrid Payton, Lonzo is 3 inches taller than Elfrid Payton. Lonzo's 6'6".
That's a great point, man. Lonzo's like the A- version of what Elf is the F version. Of that prototype. I'm talking about the prototype. The tall point guard with a big body who can move. He has decent lateral movement for defensively.
Right. No, Lonzo. Yeah, Lonzo has the size, has the strength, plays defense. And he can jumpstart the offense on the fast break in terms of getting the outlet pass and making quick, passes to start a fast break. A lot of people believe that he could be a player that can unlock Obi Toppin. When we talk about how many times has Obi made a cut and thought he was going to get a lob pass, but we don't have the type of guards that have that awareness and ability to recognize the athleticism of Obi Toppin. A lot of the guards that we have don't even play that game. We have a lot of one-on-one players at the guard position. When you talk about Alec Burks, you saw there one time tonight, Alec Burks thought he had Obi on an alley-oop, and there was a misconnection there. Alec Burks doesn't have that natural feel as a point guard.
He's done it though. We've seen him do it. Again, this was his first game back. He was a little rusty, but yeah, that pass was like
yeah, but what I'm saying is long term. No, but I'm saying is long term. You don't expect Alec Burks to be the player that can work with Obi Toppin in a 2-man game, but it's more realistic to expect Lonzo Ball to do it than Elfrid Payton, or even Quickly, who is still more on the scoring end of side of things as a guard than on the facilitating end. So there's a strong argument for Lonzo, but in the end, it's gonna come down on price.
Yeah.
Same thing with Lowry. Like I agree, Stanley. Lowry is a very interesting player. He checks a lot of the boxes. Veteran leadership. Mm-hmm. He's basically, what everybody tries to sell us on Elfrid Payton providing that veteran leadership this year. Going into the season, that's what people were saying. Oh, Elfrid Payton is a starter because he's a veteran leadership, blah, blah, blah. But that hasn't panned out. Lowry is a player that actually provides veteran leadership. He's a player that has championship DNA. He's a player that young players respect. Not only that, he's tough. He's grit. He has a lot of these New York characteristics that people in New York love to see of their own players. So Lowry checks a lot of the boxes. I just think he is more in a win now mode. And although the Knicks are getting close to win now mode, they're not at that win now mode yet that Lowry is probably going to be going into the offseason. Yeah. So the Sixers, to me, going back home, that type of thing is more realistic in my opinion.
You know what? The Sixers makes a lot of sense for Lowry, and it makes a lot of sense for the Sixers. It would liberate Simmons. He won't. Right now, it's a big weakness. The fact that Simmons is the lead point guard and he can't shoot from the outside. So now they can kind of use Simmons as like a power forward almost, and like a really deadly one with one of the best passers and defenders in the game. That would be an interesting situation there. Yeah, I think Lowry's going to want either money. He's going to want big money, or he's going to want to go to an instant contender. But yeah, let's look at
Jay on the chat. Jay on the chat. I agree with you, man. I'm the type of person. Listen, man. When you've gone this far into the season, this whole thing about chemistry, man. Listen, in the playoffs, if you got to make adjustments, you make them. There's no time to worry about chemistry. There's no time to worry about fit. I would do what you're saying. I would definitely do that. I would definitely start Burks. Because I still like Rose in that off the bench factor, because Rose, the offense could revolve more around him coming off the bench than if he would be as a starter, because to start the game, you're kind of trying to get Randall going. You're trying to get RJ some shots. And then next thing you know, you blink and you've been on the court with these two guys for 6 minutes and you haven't gotten a shot off, or you've gotten a shot or two off, and that's it. You know what I mean? So because of who we have starting, I still would rather have Rose finish this season coming off the bench, but obviously finishing the game. I want Rose to finish the game, but I would make the adjustment. I would start Burks. I'm done with Payton. Done with that experiment.
Done with Payton. I'm with you guys. I mean, I've been done. If you guys have watched my videos, I'm done with Payton. I've been the one trying to kill Payton as a starter. So I'm totally done with him. Even the math screams bench Payton. I mean, the whole formula for the Knicks' success, and we saw it tonight, shoot more threes, less Elfrid Payton. And tonight we shot 20, let's see, how many threes did we shoot tonight? I think we actually shot a decent amount. 35.
I was going to say that, George.
35
I was
threes.
Going to say that, George. To your credit, I was going to say that. I actually have it noted here on the sticky note. I was going to say that. I was going to say, George, if you look at the team stats in tonight's game, a lot of these stats were similar. Blocks, steals, percentages, etc. The one difference, look at how many threes the Spurs shot and look at how many threes the Knicks shot. And that's the game.
Exactly. Look, we shot 35. We hit 14 of them, 40%, and the Spurs shot only 21 threes. And that's a testament to
that's what you've been
defense.
saying.
Yeah, I've been saying that. I mean, you know what? And Thibs knows it. And Thibs is actually preaching it. He's just saying we have to find the right type of threes. We just need to find more of them. And he's absolutely right.
We shot 35 threes and shot 40%. Yeah, like you said, George, we got to shoot more. We got to shoot more.
Got to shoot more. We have to just accept the fact that we are an outstanding three-point shooting team. It's a shocker because when we first started the season, we sucked. And part of it was because Reggie hadn't found his stroke yet because he was developing that quicker release. RJ was, remember, like the 0 for 900,000. Remember, he missed every single one. Randall, his three hadn't really fully formed yet. And then we had Elfrid actually taking threes in the beginning of the season. And we know what that was about. And then Burks, he was injured, remember? So he missed, didn't he miss like 10, 15 games in the beginning of the season?
Yeah.
So so quickly was the only, so we didn't have all the pieces in place. And then look at Derrick Rose, man. His 3-point shot is incredible now. It's incredible. He's a career 30% 3-point shooter.
But we shot 40% tonight, and that was with Randall going 1 for 5 and Bullock going 2 for 8 and quickly going 0 for 2. So like we still managed to shoot 40% on 35 attempts with quickly not making a 3 on 2 attempts. Randall going 1 for 5 and he's shooting 42% on the year. And Bullock, our other one of our best 3-point shooters, going 2 for 8. So that's also a testament to your point that we are, yes, an outstanding 3-point shooting team.
Outstanding. But part of the reason is because we're taking good ones, and they're coming off of double teams. Julius getting double teamed, or RJ, going into the paint and finding the open guy. Rose has been really good at that. And then, Emmanuel quickly, he just needs a screen and he just shoots it. We're going to wrap it up soon, but you guys, thumbs up would be really appreciated. And I just want to check the chat to make sure we didn't miss out. Knickerbocker for life 122. I want the claw. Yes. The claw would be sensational. I think if the Clippers basically have another turd in the playoffs like they did last season, you never know. It's possible. Absolutely possible.
Listen, I think the only way that becomes even a remote possibility is if they don't get to the Eastern Conference Finals. If the Clippers do not get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm sorry, yes, the Western. If they don't get to the Western Conference Finals, I'm thinking the East so much because our journey. But if they don't get to the Western Conference Finals, or even if they get there, but if Paul George stinks up the playoffs again, then Kawhi's gonna have something to think about.
Yes,
and Kawhi has been gushing about the Knicks.
That's what I'm saying. If it's a repeat of last playoffs for them, I can see
he'll have something to think about.
Yeah. All right, Daniel Diaz, Latin American. Yes, Vildoza. Vildoza could be a really interesting player for us.
He's gonna be a backup point guard next year, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. Also, Daniel Diaz says the Mavs pick could be useful in this point guard problem. Yes, in one way or another, I think these 2 picks that we have are going to be used. I think they might package them to kind of move up. That's one scenario. The other one is we use these picks to just take some flyers on some of these young point guards that might turn into something really interesting that we can then either use them or flip them. Let's see. We got Lou Memorabilia. Welcome from Miami. Oh, let's see. Oh, sup, fellas? Oh, we need a Miami. I read it really quick. I thought he said that he's from Miami. Yeah, we need a Miami loss bad. We do because we end up in sixth.
That's the game, Lou.
Yeah, if all three,
That's the game.
Yeah, if Atlanta, Miami, and the Knicks win the rest of their games, we end up in sixth place. So that's that scenario. Yeah, man.
The next game is it, Lou. If they lose, that's the game that you're hoping they're gonna lose, because I don't think they're gonna lose the one after that.
I'm really surprised that the Sixers just rolled over for the Heat tonight. God, they let them fuck them in the ass really hard tonight. Jesus. Wow, what a spanking, man. I don't think Giannis is gonna allow that to happen. Not a spanking.
Just so you know, Lou, I said that because they play Milwaukee, but then they play at Detroit the next day. So Saturday and Sunday, the Miami Heat, they play Saturday at Milwaukee, and they play Sunday at Detroit. The game here is Milwaukee. That's the game. Saturday, to me, that's the game to watch. Everybody tune in to watch that game.
And they're on the road.
Have to do what we have to do, but
yeah,
they're on the road. That's the game, because I don't think they're losing to Detroit. So
that is the game. All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. This has been great. I love this stuff. And JD, it's been a while since we've been able to talk like this. Mostly it's my issues with tech issues here, but hopefully we're starting to get them worked out. And who knows? Maybe this weekend we'll jump on again. Maybe between the two games. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe Saturday after the game. So we'll do.
We'll see, guys. We can probably do this into a post-game thing going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we're gonna work on. I'm sure George is gonna work on trying to get this thing right, and then we'll take it from there. So please make sure that you are, hitting that notification bell for George, and you guys are, updating yourselves so that when we go live next time, you guys are well informed.
Absolutely, man. All right, man.
And let's go.
Let's go. And check out, look out for JD's videos. They're fantastic. And my videos, there's great stuff in there. A lot of analysis. And sometimes we go really deep into the numbers and give you guys a different perspective that you hear in other places. And that's the whole point of why we do this. Because we are total Knick junkies. We love this team. This team has rewarded us by playing their fucking asses off, and they gave us a tremendous victory tonight. This is fantastic, man. Fantastic.
Yeah. Let's go Knicks.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at Knicks-Verse and JD. You know, tell people how they can find
JD
you.
Sports. Yeah, JD Sports Talk NY. JD Sports Talk, and just put NY at the end. You find me on Twitter, Instagram, and JD Sports Talk is the channel.
Yeah, baby. And if you want a hat, just tweet me, and we'll work it out. I have a few left. They're beautiful. I still need to send one to you, JD.
Yeah, send me my hat, man.
I gotta get there. Yeah, I just go to the post office, once a week, so I'm gonna send it to you, brother. All right, man.
All right.
Well, let's get this game on Saturday, man. The Hornets. The Hornets. They're not gonna roll over for us, so we're gonna have to go in there and take them. But we're at home. I think we can do it, and hopefully, I think Rose will be back for that game, and maybe he'll sit out. Because if we get back for that game, when we win that game, and Miami loses to the Bucks, then Rose would probably rest the Celtics game. But if Miami wins, we'll see. That's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. It's exciting. This is what the fucking NBA, the playoffs is all about, man.
It's about to get real. It's about to get real, Knicks fans.
It is. It is real, man. Man, watching that Lakers game in a bar here in LA was awesome, man. I got about half the bar to start cheering for the Knicks. Yeah, man. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, the notification bell, and all that jazz. Much appreciated. And we'll see you around the Knicks-Verse.